button. Awesome. Cool. And then I'll wait for us to go live.
Sorry, mate. Give me a second.
That's right. I was just trying to ask Chat GPT for a cheeky question I could ask about Scott's t-shirt. So I have to use my own brain, but that's all right. All right, we are live. All right, guys. So then I have a coughing fit. So, all right, guys. So today we are back with another MVP Friday where we take some our elite coaches, or just coaches who are doing very, very well in the industry, and people who I think are inspiring and also doing some great things so that we can pick their brains, dissect what is working well, where some of their challenges were and how they can grow. And today we have the legendary Scott Hill of Team Power Elite. Where are you based, man? And tell us a little bit about yourself.
We are southwest Sydney, kind of right on the border of the metro area, out near Camden and the Pean River. Myself, physio, old powerlifter, did lots of bodybuilding shows, and now run Power Elite Gym. And about 6 months ago, gave up all clinical physio. I still do a bit of physio in the gym, just got a small room, but not the normal ongoing clinical physio.
Yep. Beautiful, man. And today you've chosen like a very special t-shirt here. What made you wear the New Zealand powerlifting t-shirt here?
It's just I didn't want to get my work shirt dirty. I told you that. It's I know it's just a shirt. I did Oceania titles in 2016 and just swapped it with with the 93 kilo New Zealand lifter at the time for the Aussie shirt. Just things you do at those meets, and I've had it ever since. It is actually quite comfortable, but I oddly get asked so often if I wear it. Oh, you're from New Zealand?
Yeah.
No. Anyway, yeah, that's it.
Man, I really like that, and like, I love buying t-shirts or collecting t-shirts that sort of have a bit of a meaning. And like when I used to share, you'd go to like a speed share or you go to a sharing competition, you'd only really go for the singlet half the time. And so like with this t-shirt, bro, like you said, was it 2016?
Yes, yeah, pretty sure, yeah.
Yeah, maybe if you can sort of zoom or go back, maybe pace yourself back to that point in time. Like, what were you sort of doing at the meet? Where were you in your career? And, what brought about the swapping of the t-shirt?
It was I think it was a few months after Nationals. It was probably the best Nationals, the most memorable one I ever had. It was a bit of a heyday, I reckon, for Australian powerlifting. All of us 93 boys, everyone. It was invitation only. It was only top 10, and all of us totaled over 700. And you'll know this in weightlifting. It's kind of like in sprinting. Between first and third, there was 3 kilos in the total. It was mad.
Wow. Wow.
So, and I ended up coming third as always. I was pulling for the win, and my hobbit hands let me down, so I come third. But and then a few months later, it was Oceanias in December, and I can't actually really remember the meet was pretty average for me, to tell you the truth. I remember seeing Jezza for the first time, Uepa, the super heavyweight, and he was a weapon. And and then it was just back. I think I was just next to the New Zealand guy in the warm-up area, and just had a chat and said, oh, well, might as well swap shirts. I've got 100 Aussie shirts. So, and that was really, that was it. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, bro. Yeah, I think it's one of those things like we're blessed with in the fitness industry, and like if we're competitive in some realm of that, whether it's bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting, you get to go out and meet these people, don't you? And just collect a few souvenirs along the way. And it's always cool. And I think we're in such a blessed industry where, you can get very, very fit. You generally lead a pretty healthy life, but you can also make a great living sort of doing it. So I think we're very blessed. And bro, like, when did you make? So you're a physio, I guess, by trade, by school, the way of school. How did you sort of make that transition into opening up your gym, becoming a coach, and sort of diving to that realm of that area?
Yeah, not your traditional story, I suppose, but going way back, even coming out of uni, doing the first bodybuilding comp, it was all the bro stuff because you were young, did what I was told, but the physiology background and all that, I was really kind of, by the end of it, I'm like, this is a bit rubbish. So I started doing my own stuff that was a little bit more sensible for natural bodybuilders, and that just led me to helping heaps of mates. And that was in the early 2000s, and a mate had a supplement store. So by about 2008,
Yep.
I was helping teams of 20, 25 bodybuilders and women get to the stage just for the fun of it. No coaching back then. That was just, I was a physio and I did that on the weekends to help out mates. And so that taught me a lot with that. And then just having a grounding, because I did my honours and thesis in the realm of resistance training in young men at uni. So kind of gave you a good grounding. And then it transitioned because I was in a massively bro gas to the gills gym. I was a bit of an enigma being a natural guy in this place. But then they were all on me to do some powerlifting because I was outlifting what they were and they were twice my size. So gave it a crack and found out I was a lot better at powerlifting than bodybuilding. But along the way, just by nature, I don't know how really it happens. I just get invested in the sport. You do a lot of learning and then you just start helping people. And so by the time I opened Power Elite, I was just, I had formalized helping people with body transformation a little bit through physio. I called it just tone up at the time. So I'd do 90% physio and a few of these tone up clients would come in. And then the gym, I never intended to open a gym. It was a run of events. My sisters own a complex and a space popped up in an industrial complex because they're aerial arts. They own a dance school, just disappeared on them and they had to fill the space in 2 weeks. And so I was at the time doing all the world powerlifting stuff and had mates out and training in the garage and just thought, I'll put my stuff in there, a bit more stuff. And I think my mates would pay to, go to a powerlifting gym and the parents might want to do a bit of working out. And then it was born in 2016. In 2 weeks, I just threw it together and had NFI about anything. I just put it in there and would just do it before and after physio. I think just through word of mouth and just reputation, because I'd been around the traps, it just grew. Like I didn't do anything, like literally no social media, just word of mouth and got a couple of coaches in that were powerlifters and it got to a point in 2019 where I thought, I better make this into a business structure because I can't really control, like it's too big now. I don't know what I'm doing. And then I got 2 weeks of coaching and implemented a couple of things. And then it was the first lockdown. And so, and everything, like everyone just, whoop, it all just shut down. And then, so then we reopened it, built back quickly, and then it shut down again. And that in that time, I thought, no, I'm not sitting on my hands this time. So I kind of worked behind the scenes, which was lucky because then we opened again, of course, like everybody. And it was the Omicron wave, and we're a service-based gym, not really classes or high members, just personal training. And so we had about a 50% non-attendance rate, which was crippling for like about 4 or 5 months. Hence in that time, that's where everyone noticed that Power Elite seemed to be a lot more prominent on social media. That was just out of necessity. It was, you just had to, otherwise you were going to go under. And yeah, it really was. And then, so we did that and now come out the other end and and then I thought of the online arm and Mamba as a side arm, but then as I applied all that stuff, the gym blew back up, which was nice. And so now it's all looking quite positive there. And like we had today, our first session, it was now I'm ready to or have a little bit of time, tiny bit, to put in to get the online going, which in itself, as we talked about, took a different tack than I thought it would, but now that's ready to go.
Absolutely, bro. And man, like, it's pretty cool to sort of hear that journey. And like, I know a lot of us on here, like the likes of myself, I know Trent's had gyms at one point as well, and Mark, you know, like that time going through that COVID period where everyone was sort of up and down, and as you said, man, 50% of your sort of client base wasn't attending. What was sort of going through your head at that point, man? Because before that, everything had been pretty plain sailing by the sounds of it.
Yeah, it was a funny time just in personal life as well. A lot of changes as well. It was and I don't know what made me decide to do it, but literally at the depths of Omicron and like don't know what's going to happen at the gym, I was about to go postal at the physio because I've been doing it for 20 odd years. So I was like, no, that's it, I'm done. It's like, and literally I thought, oh, I know myself, it's sink or swim. So I literally just cut the umbilical cord and just went into the gym and then it was like, oh God, the safety blanket was well and truly gone, like financially, of course. And then it was nervous times. It was just, I was just pushing, and then finally towards November, December, it kind of hit the break even and starting to upswing into some positive territory again. But no, it was nervous times, but in my mind, it's fairly pragmatic. I'm pretty lucky as well. I don't have long-term leases and big overheads. So it was worst case scenario is sell my soul back to Satan and go do full-time clinical physio again.
Yeah, for sure, bro. And I guess like with that, man, so sort of, I guess late last year, you were starting to see a bit more traction. And, you know, as you sort of said, like using the Mamba methods for your online, unintentionally, man, it just started to blow up your gym a little bit, which is unfortunate. But even sort of last year, we were talking about how that just made you really, really busy in person and inside the gym. And you sort of found a few holes and a few leaks in the bucket. And what did you sort of have to work on there so that you can put yourself back in the position where you are now so that you can ultimately put the foot down again and just hit the go button?
Like anyone, I don't think there's any rainbows or unicorns here. It was just looking back, a lot of hard work, really. A lot. But probably the biggest thing that helped with the gym itself was getting just a clear vision, like an avatar for the gym, which is weird for this gym but I finally got it like a model that worked for us. And now once I've got clear on that, things just started working a lot better because it's a very non-traditional model probably, but now it's working and I've got a clear vision of that. And I've worked a lot with the VA and to like Leah to free up time on things that you don't have to do. It's still crazy busy. Like, in all honesty, I'm going to have to rehash the calendar again to have enough time to do the online. But it's more just that gut feeling like, oh, okay, the gym's upswinging. I have to put all the foundations for the online is there, just time management. But now that the gym is getting towards that more sustainable point, I think I can get into it. But it's really just hard work and having a clear vision of how the gym's going to work that freed up the time, not much else.
So it was almost like clarity and then just going back to what you do best, and that's putting your head down and bum up, getting the work done.
Yeah, and basically that's it. I try and stick to my client times and not expand it. And I really try and delegate, like you say. So do they really need my services? Instead of saying yes to everyone, you can say, well, no, one of my George is awesome for this as well. And, and try and delegate a bit more.
that's not an easy thing to do, man. Because like, and I know I like at some points I'm lucky enough now where essentially my coaches in our gyms have like I don't really exist anymore, which is great, you know. So sometimes with especially if we are on social media, people will reach out to us for in-person coaching because of us personally. How do you now, I guess, send clients to your other coaches? How do you sort of approach that?
Well, now I very much just have PE as like the brand.
Yep.
And instead of like, of course, I'm still linked to it, but everyone kind of knows now under PE, it's a hub for, say, it's like contractors, the easiest way. And so I even have my own, not that I ever chose this, it was chosen for me, but anyway, you know, Boss Man, because I hate
Yep.
it, but you tease me for it, so then it's stuck. But that's what it is. And then we've got, you know, like Pocket Rocket, trained
Yep.
by Ames, and each one has their own brand, which I encourage, and it's kind of, they bring their own aspect to it. And the clarity point was just, I say like F45 or BFT, I say it's like Costco. You go there, you know what you're getting, and it's you know what you're getting. But it's the one thing type stuff. But at PE it's like Westfield, so you come in and you choose what you want. So we've got mums and bubs, we've got the early morning conditioning, powerlifting, body transformation. So they choose who they want, and then so with that it's easy for me. I just can direct them to like, no, Amy's our, you know, mums and bubs, or Laura's our, you know, strength coach and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, awesome, man. And I guess like you've been the competitive powerlifter, you've gone down the route of bodybuilding, and now you've gone a completely different direction with your niche for your online. And maybe, man, if you could sort of give us a bit of an insight to, like, you have done a launch in the past and you're still running your online business. And maybe if you can sort of start off with how you sort of came with your first sort of online launch into now where you've landed to your current niche.
Yeah, well, it was hard actually from the start. That was one of the biggest challenges I've had, just because of having a few tools in your belt, because, you know, are you a powerlifting coach, a bodybuilding coach, just a normal body transformation physio? And so you kind of got known as, I suppose, having a jack of all trades. But for the online, my first launch was looking in hindsight a bit too broad, but just basically helping anyone who was sick of the yo-yo diet train and get off that and do healthy, sustainable fat loss.
Yep.
But of course, there's a lot of noise in there. And I even, of course, wrote the book about it. And that was a COVID project, and then I just kept with it. But and it kind of fit with that. But then learning and listening to all you guys on here, it's you've got to have that, I felt, a bigger point of difference to stand out and have even a more narrow niche, because I'll give him some props if he's still on here, I don't know, but I think Trent said it, but he you know, let's even say in Australia there's whatever now 28 million people, there's however 7-8 billion people worldwide, and you're only for your online looking to get whatever 50 to 100, or even if you want to go big, I don't know, 500, it's really not that many. So a niche can work well. So it came about that I wanted to narrow it down. Most of the work I've done is with more so women. Don't know how that came about, but a lot more the powerlifters, the bodybuilders, and my normal clients. So that was the first thing. I thought, oh, well, we target more so women. The second was pre, during, and postnatal. It was between that and the thing, only because of, again, the physio skills. I've done that over the years with all the different, you know, ab separation and pelvic issues and all the things that happen. So you can combine those two, then combine it with the main goal of, well, most people trying to tone up. So then it's that pre, during, and post, doing it healthily, and my ethos of health first and all those types of stuff. And then the last one, as we talked about, was just a client. Then the penny dropped. and I'd never heard of it this way before, was the other point of difference was I knew there was not many men, if any, in that field. So targeting that, it's mostly women. And then one of my clients, I've known her for a long time, and she just made kind of a comment, and it just rang true so hard. She goes, "No, I like you as a trainer," and I've helped her with the pre and postpartum stuff because I've trained her through a pregnancy and things. She goes, "I like you because I can't compare myself to you because you're a man." And so then the penny dropped. It was like, oh, there must be a lot of women out there and men, say men, it's the same both ways, that would want, say, a male trainer in that space or a coach because they, at some level, are comparing themselves to the female trainer who's in great shape, and it makes them feel worse. Whereas if you're a man, you can't compare, apples and oranges. So, and then that kind of sealed the deal. I thought that's a very narrow, nice little niche, postnatal male physio, and targeting those female clients that want a male online coach, not a female.
Absolutely, man. And like when you said that little insight there, I was like, that was just a light bulb. And we've got our all-female gym, and I always wondered for so long, like, there's just different times where women just request like a male trainer. They don't like to work with female trainers, and a lot of people put it down to, a male trainer will just push you harder. And I know that's not be true because I've had a lot of female coaches, and they'll bloody run you ragged. But that just there just makes absolute sense when quite often with women, in terms of that realm, that that comparison is one of the biggest reasons why they get stopped in their tracks, or they don't continue on with a program because they start comparing themselves to others. Yeah,
exactly.
Incredible. Yeah, and like, man, this being one of the only people sort of, I guess, in this niche, like, what is your sort of, I guess, plan to take, your previous experience, what you've done as a physio? How do you plan to get this out on social media to attract these clients in? What are you sort of thinking around your content?
Of course, it would just be everything I've learned with the Mamba method, and that works so well. It did for the gym, but just it's breaking it down into timeframes. I thought would be a good idea, so you can target the ones that are currently pregnant, so prenatal, and in that space, just educate. I'm a big one for education, and I like the health aspect and debunking all the myths and silly stuff. So I've always done that. All that stuff irritates me. So it would be more along the lines of, in that, say, time frame, I would target that. No, it's not a good time to overtly try and lose fat. Now, if it happens with better habits, awesome. But no, but it's not the time to allow yourself to put on a lot of fat either, because that's just an old social norm that you just stop exercising and extol, the virtues of exercising. And more on probably the grab for me is going to be the physio aspect, because it's pretty easy to fat loss and get back into shape and all that stuff. But it's then coupling it with, no, this is the right thing to do, say, exercise-wise and prehab-wise during pregnancy, in the 0 to 6 weeks post-pregnancy, 6 to 12, and then 12 to 24, and break it into blocks for them, as well as all the support in terms of education and, nutrition and exercise for their appropriate for their level, we'll say. And then also just knowing that there's that, the next, leveling up in terms of if they want a higher ticket offer, which would just be if they do develop an issue, like pubic symphysitis or SIJ issues, then they can chat to me as well, and we can see if we can sort it out through appropriate exercise, or I'd advise them to see a local therapist, but to have that support along the way as well. I would kind of hone in on that as a point of difference.
Absolutely, bro. And I think it's very clever because And we talked about it a couple of weeks with Peter Brown. He's sort of this year he's looking to launch 2 or 3 sort of products that are offshoots of his business. And I think what you've done here, and in terms of, you know, you're building out your level systems for, you know, this niche particularly, which is going to save you a shit ton of time and delivery. But then also having those different offerings, it just allows you to pull different levers at different times. It's a very smart idea for a business, and you know, it's one of those things that comes with a lot of social proof as well, which is bloody brilliant. Yeah, and I guess, man, like probably a bit of a sidestep here, but I know you are a big fan of just debunking the myths
Yeah.
in the fitness industry, and like you wrote a book on it, you know. And so what maybe, man, is like you know, why have you just developed this passion for debunking myths in the fitness industry, and how do you sort of go about, I guess, actually doing that in a entertaining way, you know, but also a way that gets your point across with a better education?
Yeah, I think it's just my natural physics science brain linked with,
Yep.
you know, the uni that I did, you know, physiology and all of that. And because for as long as I've done that, I've been in, let's say, the fitness world, and probably the worst world, which is 5 years ago, whatever it was the bodybuilding world. It hasn't actually changed too much. And
Yep.
just some of the stuff that was going around, and I'm like, that's just literally in my head. I was only young then. It's like, that is not how it works. And of course, when you're young and, you know, full of zest, you just be less diplomatic, I suppose. Not that I don't think I was not diplomatic. I'm a kind of chill guy, but the way I would do it, that's where the passion came from. And then I just don't like seeing people get influenced by misinformation. And my biggest one, I say, a lot of the stuff is actually correct, but out of context. There's some things that are some things that you just overtly dumb, you know, you just go, nah, all right, that's just silly. Not much. But then others, it's kind of, once it's put into context, then people understand it. So, and so then along the way, and everything I've done here, I think derives back to simplicity. I'm a big one for it. It's get a ton of information and then bring it down to the absolute fundamental principles. And if you get them 2 or 3 things right, and it seems to be common in all areas like powerlifting, whatever, fat loss, and nearly anything, you don't have to worry about all the noise out there. And so, and that coupled with probably seeing thousands of people in your office and you kind of saying the same things and debunking the same stuff, it's just frustrating on a level in terms that you want to get some better information out there, but you don't know how to cut through the noise. And the way I make it probably more palatable, because I'm not like, I don't know, not like a Lane Norton who'll just slay people, you know, just get on there and just rip them down. I'd never do that, but it's kind of just, I like to pose it in a way that makes them think differently, which is actually the whole book. But, you know, and just with very simple logic, it's, you know, there's so many examples, but I just usually a favorite one, just as an example, sometimes always you get asked lots of questions, but let's say the artificial sweeteners, I've heard they're bad for you, or they make the body think it's sugar. And I hear that so many times, like I just laugh. It's kind of, you go, well, no, this is how the body works. You know, it's actually got no calories. If it went in and the body registered and responded to it like sugar, the insulin, of course, response would go up. And what happens with the insulin going up and there's no, you know, blood sugar coming in from digesting it, everybody be dropping of hypoglycemic attacks everywhere. You know, it never happens. It's just like, so it's just like, how does that keep going when it's such a simple explanation to say it's wrong? But yeah, I don't know where, maybe, or it just frustrates me. I don't know. It's a quirk. It annoys me.
I think part of it, man, is like, and hopefully, like for a lot of younger coaches, and like I'm still a young coach myself, but like I think there's a point where you sort of see like coaches who have been coaching 20 odd years plus, there becomes almost a point of mastery where, like, as you've said, you know, you've seen thousands of people and you probably get to this point where there's 2 or 3 principles for each thing along the way that just seem to stick, and it seems to be those things that work. And like you've probably tried every single thing along the way, and then all of a sudden it starts out, 1 or 2 things. Bodybuilding, to eat chicken and broccoli, to get the pump, and you're good. And then you expand out, you start to see all of these concepts. And I know that's sort of, I guess, where probably the last 5 years of my coaching was. I expanded right out. You start to like look at everyone's methods, everyone's different things. Now all of a sudden it starts to simmer down, and you start to land on a few principles that are just so simple that they're so effective. And I think like from that, just your ability now to make that simple, how are you taking that and articulating that through your social media?
To me, I tell anyone who knows me, to me, I had to learn a thing with social media. Of course, repetition is good because it gets in front of people. I do feel like a broken record, and at times struggle with ideas for social media, because to make it simple, I do struggle with that. Like, because I feel like I'm saying the same things. It's, if people harp on about whatever fat loss, you kind of go, well, there's a few, the fundamentals: adequate protein, calorie deficit, and nutritious food. It's you kind of go, it's not a lot harder than that. But so for me, I probably tend to work on the practical application side more than the theory side, because you soon know, I don't harp on about that. No one really wants to hear, the big words or anything. It's just like, no, this works. Here's a very simple explanation, but then go to the practical side, which is, could be anything, how do you improve your squat? Sure, whatever, keep neutral spine, knees over toes, and if you can get depth, then you're in probably pretty close to right alignment due to your biomechanics. Not even people want to hear that. So it's, you might just kind of give them a practical snippet. I think I did it the other day. I'd just say, here's how to test like the anatomical structure of your hip. Are you like pigeon-toed, neutral, or duck-footed? And so if you're duck-footed, you can probably get away with turning your toes out of it. If you're neutral, a bit more in, and if you're duck-footed, straight, otherwise your hip will run out of range. And so they can test themselves, they can apply it, and they might change that one little thing that helps a bit. And then,
absolutely. And
that's kind of the way I chunk it down into tiny bits, because otherwise every bit of social media would be like a 10 to 60 minute long podcast and tutorial. Like, no one wants to. Some will listen to that. Of course, the long form is good to have there, because people are really interested. Then shows you kind of know what you're talking about, bit of authority. But in short format, no.
Nah, not
like
at all.
I saw the other day, like your deadlift, breathe and brace, like that. Like it's like just one thing, take away, do it, they improve. Awesome.
It's funny you say that, because I've had a few people reach out to me about that particular video, and like I was like, this is the most basic. Like I was like, this ain't gonna. I was like, I'll do it, but I didn't think it would be that valuable. I thought it'd be, maybe I can send it to my clients as a bit of a resource, but a lot of people just, and it's the analytics on the back end, there's a ton of saves, a ton of shares, and I was like, okay, well, shit, maybe we need to do more stuff like this. Funnily enough,
I thought the same. This wasn't even for social media. What I do, of course, I've done a technical session with someone or something, and at the end, I'll video them. This guy was just a bench press, and I'll narrate them through them doing the bench, so they've got it there for their cues and stuff. And it was really simple. He did it. It was like he just got on his traps, depress, put the scapulas in the right place, feet down, and then keep the ribs high and keep the elbows under the bar, whatever it was. I can't remember. Just a few things. Just super basic. He was just a novice bench presser, and he put it on his feed, and he's not a big fitness guy, and it went to for like 5,000 views on his, not mine, and he hasn't got 1 million fitness people, and he said he got sick of people commenting. So you just tagged me and go, speak to Scotty. I don't know. Yeah, simple stuff like that. I actually said it to one of our coaches the other day. Just don't ever overestimate what you think people know, because we get so used to it. Then it'd be like someone coming in and telling me about computer language. It's
Yeah.
like, you better make it simple, like as dumb as you can get, because I know nothing. 'Cause
Absolutely,
it's
man.
not my area. So
Yeah, absolutely. And like even that one you were saying about the 3 steps to find your foot position based on your hip, like stuff like that. To us, we've read it in plenty of books, we've seen it on plenty of videos, we've probably seen it 1,000 times ourselves. But our general population or general gym goer, they'll be lucky to have seen it once, if not, half a dozen times at the most. So I think it's really, really true. And I think people underestimate the importance or the value of such simple things like warm-ups. One of the things I always say for our member crew and anyone that needs to find content is like, just think about your PT session. People will pay you $110 or $150, $200, whatever, for that session. And then it's like, you put that, you take a piece of that and put it on social media. That's valuable as shit. That's really valuable content. Yeah.
yeah, it's and even one of our coaches here, it's always try and upskill, of course, and improve
Yep.
everybody and myself. I forget what I said, but I just but the client was there and she asked me the question. I always encourage, I'm a big one for that. It's like it comes, I think, from physio as well. Clinics I worked in is as if they're a coach, I said, don't have any qualms in bringing me in or another coach if you're stuck. It's like a medical professional referring from physio to podiatry and saying, yeah, I can't help with this, but I know the person who can. It's valuable. They like it, it's valuable. But I forget what it was, but it was with a squat and I just showed it in real life. And she said, I've read that heaps of times but I've never, had to use it, or I forget what it was, had to use it. But to see it just done in real life and shown on a person, it's like the penny drop moment. And it was just a simple thing. So,
yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's amazing, isn't it? It's just little things that make a massive difference. And man, like just sort of looking forward now to, the launch of this new online niche. You've sort of got a goal in the next 90 days to sort of hit 50 members, which is pretty exciting. That's a very, very nice online business. Where are you going to put your focus and where are you going to put your attention for the next 90 days to ensure you hit these 50 members?
For me, of course, continuing with all the social media work, but I can hone in on the niche now. I've really got it clear. It's like a gym. And for me, systems. I'm not an organized ideas guy, not organized guy. So I know it's all like up here, you can give a good service, and now I know you can the social media and you can chat and interact. But for me to really make it fly, and because I am time poor, like most of us, systems. It's got to be systemized and streamlined and done well, so then I can set aside the time and it doesn't blow out to take up too much time. But probably in the one, because I've been doing it with the gym itself, would be better systems, which ironically I want to do slowly more of in the gym as well, because as I said, it evolved itself. And so hence it evolved just no system. And so we're slowly systemizing it over time. But online, 100% from the get-go, I don't want to do it that way. I want the systems in place so I can run it well.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And that's the critical thing with an online business. Like the great thing is you've got the audience, you've got the niche sort of dialed in, and you've got some great contacts in that area. So being able to handle 50 clients over 90 days is pretty critical to having those systems, which is very, very cool. Yeah, cool.
That would be the priority. Yeah.
Awesome, bro. And one last question before we kick off today. When you hang up the boots, when you hang up your lovely New Zealand powerlifting t-shirt there, what will they say at your funeral, on the funeral of your career, what would they say about you and your career as a coach?
God, hopefully that I you know, good ethics, nice guy, helped a lot of people, could squat, yes.
How good. Yeah, that's
Actually,
really awesome.
I do have a dying wish. You'd like this one, I'll bring this out. I'm not like a religious or spiritual guy, but when this gets asked, I always say the same. So when you die, I want to be cremated and half my ashes put into one of those urns that turns into a tree. So I love trees.
Yeah.
And the other half sent to Sweden to the Eleiko factory and cold pressed into a barbell. So then
Oh,
I can
good.
be put back in the gym and people can keep squatting me.
That's awesome.
That's
How
right.
good, man. You could almost have you could have your little tree there and then your barbell, and that could
Yeah.
be Scott's corner, That'd be awesome.
That would be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, very, very cool, man. Awesome to see that journey, and exciting to see where you're taking it all now. And I think a couple of key things that I sort of took from today is years and years of hard work. Now, finally, you're able to, you've done the work, and now you're able to sort of scale out, build out a business that's going to give you that freedom, which is pretty exciting. Yeah.
Probably, I would just say this. For the one thing, because I'm a big one for perception, this just for anybody who has listened or is going to listen, is is one, yeah, it's a ton of hard work. Two, I'm nowhere near out of the woods. It's, it's got some positive signs, but nowhere near out of the woods. And three, just the perception to have all the knowledge in that. But I'm getting better, but I am the world's worst businessman. So if I can, wrap my head around it, and I was not into marketing. None of that came naturally at all. And so just through, again, doing the work, it's like the person who walks into the gym for the first time, so because you always hear, it's like social media, you see all the really good stories, and hopefully this one turns out good. It's got positive sign. Sure it will. But no, it's just a lot of hard work, and there's no magic behind it at all. Just nose to the grindstone and just try and be better than last week, and away you go.
That's it, man. And I think, we're in a world where a lot of people are looking for the shortcuts, and, there are shortcuts there, but quite often they're laced with a shit ton of hard work. And those shortcuts are like, hey, it'll take you a year, 18 months, 2 years, rather than a decade, which is, but you just got to be prepared to put that work in and get it done. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%.
Awesome, bro. Cool. Well, cool. Thanks for your time, bro. We will we'll cut our recording there, and then if anyone has any questions, we'll probably